Hi everyone, welcome back to OC Avery for episode 18 of Brilliant British Birds. Now today's episode is the season finale for season 3 of the show. So coming up today, we're going to see how those final nests have got on with those chicks now jumping the nests. We're going to see the molting preparations that I've also got in place ready for the next 3 months of everything molting, that being the adult birds and the youngsters we've bred this year. Molting preparation is a part of the breeding season because you've got young birds beginning to molt from even just into May or June for those first round youngsters, and of course you've got your parent birds that you've bred from starting to molt a little bit later on around August with my canaries and British finches. So you have to make sure that your preparation is key to set up the next 3 months to be as successful, stress-free as possible for the birds whilst they are molting. And that starts off with cleaning down your cages. Now I give the whole bird room a big deep clean. It is difficult to do when you've got birds both molting like some of the adults and others still finishing breeding, but I do my best and I'll give it another go through once everything is entirely stopped breeding, and I'll have a big sort out of all the birds in here. So it starts off with a pressure washing spray gun just like this, and in there I'll put clean and clear checkmate, and I'll also have another one with F10 disinfectant. Now the clean and clear checkmate is a mite killing spray, and I'll spray that in all the nooks and crannies on the cage. I'll take off the cage fronts and the pull out drawers like this. They'll go down to one side and be sprayed in this as well. Then I'll go around with the F10 and I'll spray that on the cages as well. I'll get a sponge, scrub that in and wipe off any marks, because birds do poo up the sides of cages, as we know. They can get poo in places that don't make sense. That's birds. We give everything a really good clean, a big disinfect, and then I'll go around with a loose watery rag and wipe everything down, every single surface, and let that dry out. And then once that's dry out, you can put everything back, and that cage is now brand spanking new, lovely and clean, ready for the molting birds to be moved in. The subscribers of the channel will know we've had a very poor breeding season with the twites. We've had 16 clear eggs until finally we had a bit of success a few weeks ago where we've had one single twite chick hatch. And that chick in last week's episode we saw had jumped the nest. Well, that bird has now found out how to use its wings. It took a few days of practice crash landing into the bottom of the cage and into the seed pot until it's finally worked out how to get a bit of upward lift, and it's now sat on a perch over in the top corner over there, usually shouting for its mum and dad to feed it. Now the chick's looking really good, it's really filling out now. I feel that the rest of the feathers have grown in and it looks like a nice little juvenile bird. So of course I'll keep you up to date throughout the whole course of the molt on that bird's progress. It's yet to start feeding itself, however I think within the next 2 weeks it will probably begin to look at, and they do usually take a little bit longer to wean than something like a red poll from my previous breeding experiences with them. Previously, you guys have seen that we hatched 6 baby green finches at the very end of the breeding season. 3 under a pair of feeder canaries down here and 3 under the parents, green finch parents, down here. Now, those guys aren't related, by the way, but they're looking really good. So those down in under the canaries have done very good this past week. They finally jumped the nest and they're hopping around, and they've actually begun to feed themselves already, which is quite surprising very early on. But of course it'll be a week or 2 at least before we look to even wean them off. Now for those guys in the aluminium flight cages, they've literally just jumped the nest today, and I think they scared themselves a little bit. They jumped the nest and didn't know how to get back up, and it was obviously a very unfamiliar environment for them down on the cage floor. But the parents have been doing a superb job feeding them, making them feel at comfort, and I think again it'll be a few more weeks before those guys are even looking to be weaned. We'll put them on some baycocks in the meantime when we do look to wean them off, but so far all's looking really good. With the molt now underway and what feels like the summer is finally in full swing, I decided to give the birds some wild seed. So I've popped some seeding nettle heads in for them and we'll see how they got on. So everyone, that does bring us to the end of episode 18 of Breeding British Birds, the final episode of season 3 of the show. So I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode and enjoyed the whole series. If you fancy watching season 3 back, then go to the playlist section on my YouTube channel and you can find all 18 episodes and relive it as it happened for me. Now, it's been a great season, I must admit. Overall, you look at the numbers produced, I'm really pleased with that. And we're going to look at that in next week's episode. So if you'd like to see more from OC Avery, then please make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss any more future episodes. Do smash a like on this video as well if you've enjoyed it, and make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook for daily updates and behind the scenes footage of all of our birds. Now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.